Audio Jungle.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Tech Times. Today, we are here with Romanie Thomas. She's the founder and CEO of Juggle Jobs, and they literally help people juggle jobs. So thanks for joining us, Romanie. How are you?
I'm really well, thank you. Delighted to be here. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. We're excited to hear about this company that you have. So we'll just jump right in. Could you please tell us what exactly it is that Juggle Jobs is, what you do?
Yeah, so we're a digital platform, and we've got two sides to our marketplace. On one side, we've got companies, generally small to medium-sized companies who are growing quickly, that want the very best people, but perhaps they don't have the budget nor the inclination to hire on a full-time basis. And then on the other side, we've got these amazing flexible professionals who are super experienced, they're experts at what they do, but they want to work flexibly. So whether that's a degree of remote working, part-time working, generally they will be self-employed. And the reason that we've called the company Juggle Jobs is because, as you said at the beginning, that's quite literally what we help people to do. Sometimes that can be working perhaps with two or sometimes even three companies simultaneously, albeit on a long-term basis. So we're looking at individuals who tend to be embedded with companies for 12 months plus. This isn't short-term gig work. It's, really relationship driven, but sometimes they might be balancing family or other projects, but those just aren't recognized as paid jobs. But anybody who's a parent knows that that is most definitely a job. So that's really what we're helping people to do, is to work flexibly on their terms.
Oh, awesome. I'm sure that really helps a lot of people, especially, and I feel like maybe your company was inspired by the difficulties women find in entering the workforce due to those things you just were discussing.
Yeah, 100%. So my background is all in recruitment and headhunting, and I joined the workforce with loads of women, and then by the time I got to the senior ranks, there were hardly any left. And then when I looked back historically at the data, I could see that we're making pretty much no progress as a society when it comes to retaining great senior women. Yet you read in the headlines all the time that companies are saying, we really want more women, we really want more women. And I was like, it's pretty obvious to me that flexibility and gender diversity go hand in hand, right? If we make this the normal and de facto way for companies to hire and manage staff, make it super easy for them, then more women are going to take an active role in the workplace during the difficult periods when they're having families and so on. And also men can take a much more active role at home, and we can just redress the gender balance during those kind of quite critical years. So instead of getting that gap, which is just not improving at all, you end up just rebalancing things naturally, which is a better outcome for everyone. So you're quite right. The mission of the company for me is very much rooted in gender equality.
Okay, that's awesome. That's definitely something that is lacking and obviously needed. So I think your platform is doing an incredible job of bridging that gap, allowing these people that can't focus maybe 100% of their time on an office-based career, or so it's very, very helpful, I'm sure, to hundreds of thousands of people. Okay, so we've discussed the benefits for employees. What would you think the benefits are for employers that are looking to hire from your company?
Yeah, I mean, above the gender diversity piece, which I think for companies is really important, but if we're being honest, it's perhaps more of a longer term and secondary consideration. If you're a business owner, you want the best person in to do a fantastic job and create impact. You want them to be productive. You want them to be amazing at what they do. And you really, as a small business, you don't want that breaking the bank. So part-time and flexible hiring is a really good way to galvanize your six-figure ex-McKinsey, ex-Google type people that say, actually, we don't need you to travel 5 different continents in 7 weeks, or whatever the travel commitments often are with some of those much bigger companies. And we don't need you to work 60 hours a week. In fact, actually, you know what you're doing. You've got 10, 15 years worth of experience. We need a safe pair of hands as our chief financial officer, for example, 2 or 3 days a week. And guess what? You've immediately cut that budget from 6 figures to sort of mid 50s, 60s, which makes a lot more sense for a small growing business. You need someone expert in that role, but do you actually need them full time, or the commitment of a permanent employee? Probably not. And the lesser benefit that's talked about, but I think is really important, is hiring is really hard. Even the most experienced managers just get it wrong. It's something like 25% of experienced hires don't make it past the 3-month mark. It's really, really, really bad. And that's with, huge hiring processes, a lot of money going into that. So if the percentage of getting that wrong is so high, then again, a flexible option gives you as a business an opportunity to work with somebody on a flexible basis, make sure that the fit is right, because interviews are actually a notoriously poor way to check whether someone's going to be impactful for your business, whereas working together is. Now, if for some reason that then doesn't work out, you can tell pretty quickly, right? In 4, 6, 12 weeks or whatever. And if that person's on a flexible basis, you can sort of both shake hands and say, this didn't work out, it was an interim engagement, whatever. If it does work out, fantastic. That's huge upside for you as a business owner. And but that's very different to hiring a permanent employee with all the bells and whistles and then it not working out. And whether you like it or not, you do lose kudos with your team and investors if you continually get hiring wrong. So it's a lesser spoken benefit, but there's a sort of business owner political capital that you're keeping for yourself there as well.
Okay, yeah, that makes a lot of sense, especially the part about the being able to split amicably within a reasonable amount of time. That's a huge benefit, a huge benefit, especially for, like you said, small businesses, because like you said, it's almost like, I'm sure in a startup business or, a new business or even just a family business, everyone you hire is like a piece of the puzzle.
Yeah.
So you need to find the perfect piece. And what better way to do it than with Juggle Jobs, I think.
Absolutely.
Okay, so.
Well, I think so, but I'm biased.
Of course, yeah, understandably. So I'm curious as to which industries do you primarily get requests or that you're actually able to link employers and these flexible workers? What industries are the most?
Yeah, great question. So we specialize in helping small to medium sized businesses in the UK. Geographically, we have been kind of London and Southeast focused because pre-COVID, the flexible roles that we were working on still required a little bit of face time. I would say that's shifting. So we're working sort of UK wide now across a range of different companies, which is really exciting, right? Because we can place people who are UK citizens but decided to go and work in Portugal, and they're working for a company in Scotland now. So that's certainly a growing trend as well, but very much on the growing SME side. In terms of within that, what we specialize in, we work across a range of different companies, but I would say our sweet spot is like digitally focused companies, so tech enabled businesses. And that's been more because they're happy to use a platform for what has typically been a business service, right? if you want to hire someone, generally you go to a recruitment agent, pick up the phone, and it runs a fairly archaic telephone based service, which doesn't really fit for the 21st century. So software, tech, digital companies have been much happier about moving away from that telephone based world. But actually, increasingly, we're finding most businesses want to move away from that too. So that's really exciting. And then in terms of the segments that we specialize in, we're very much mid to senior level across like finance and accountancy, marketing and comms, and HR and talent. So you're sort of operational senior level people where you need experts through the door.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. And it is absolutely a changing world. And that's actually a great segue to my next question, which is, given the current situation, do you feel that workplace dynamics are shifting in a direction that your service, that your company will actually be a major facilitator for? Because now I think most companies realize that, and employees as well, you don't have to go to the office.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah.
I think there's so many interesting trends as a consequence to COVID, and the headlines are perhaps telling us, no, all of these companies are going back to the office, and my particular favorite, I'm being sarcastic here, is back to work, as if all of us haven't been working. I mean, it's the most ridiculous thing. But the truth is that the genie's out of the bottle. People who want to work remotely now, and frankly, they've made huge life decisions over the last 12 months. They kind of have to work remotely. They might have decided to have more children, or made a conscious decision to be more active in their children's life, or take on different projects, or move countries or locations. So going back to the office, in quotes, isn't really an option anymore, nor is it a productive use of time to sit on a train and spend thousands of pounds every year. It just doesn't make sense. And those people have options now. So, our prediction is that the companies who are the most flex mature, and we tend to sort of segment our business audience by who is the most flex mature, and they get the pick of the candidates, right? The ones who have the most mature attitude towards flexibility, they believe that people can be autonomous, they give them the right to do so, they build an environment that enables them to thrive like that. They're the ones that win. If you want to categorize this as a war on talent, which often it is, then they're the companies that are going to do well. The companies that hold back control, that keep saying, oh, you need to come in a bit here and a bit there, fine, but your candidate pool goes down and down and down and down, and we know ultimately who wins. It's the companies that have the best people.
Yeah, absolutely. So with that in mind, how do you see, how for people that are watching this video and are really interested in this, what, if you maybe could give us a summary on the brief steps that people might need to take to sign up or to avail your services?
Sure thing. Yeah. So if you're a company and you have a vacancy that you think, actually, you know what, we can definitely have a flexible person in here, whether that be remote or part-time or whatever, come to our website, juggle.jobs. There's a business section there, and you can just sign up and post the job in a couple of minutes. And then you'll get a list of AI matched candidates very, very quickly after that. So you can go through and decide this person's right, this person's wrong, and go through those steps. You're also matched with a talent manager on our side. So this is very much an AI and human blended solution. And that person in the background is making sure that they understand your needs, they understand your culture, and that you're being really accurately matched. So over 80% of the candidates that businesses receive will be selected for interview. So even though we really believe in speed and the power of technology, we've been very thoughtful about how we've built this to make sure that like accuracy and quality is there as well, because companies just don't have time to waste, right? And then we provide you all of the tools to schedule interviews, to provide feedback, to make offers to people, to sign contracts, to pay them, the whole shebang. And similarly, on the candidate side, if you're a senior professional who's looking to work flexibly, you just sign up, or you can apply to the jobs that are on our website, juggle.jobs, and come through that way. And then you just select what your flexible working preferences are, plus what compensation that you require, and then you're matched to jobs. We don't send you a slew of irrelevant jobs. Hopefully everyone that you receive is super relevant. And again, similarly, over 90% of the professionals that are matched to jobs say, yes, that's an accurate match for them. So again, accuracy is super important for us as well, because we want them to have an experience where they get matched and they get interviewed and ideally get multiple offers at the end.
Okay, so it's a fairly simple and straightforward process, which is in the front of everyone's minds these days. No one has time to wait, so it's like boom, boom, boom. They have a job. Yeah, that's awesome. It's so helpful. I'm amazed by actually, I'm still amazed because it is 2021 and we have so much going on in the world and so much that you can do just from your phone. So I really am inspired when I meet people like you that has found a niche or a market that didn't really exist, because I think like really there's still openings in you would think everything was covered, but of course you found a place.
I know.
It's amazing. It really
But there's
is.
so much that isn't. There's so much that isn't, right? We're trying to sort a house out at the moment, and the whole estate agent property world in almost every country is just totally broken, right? There are still these legacy industries like recruitment, like law, like estate agency. They're sort of being disrupted, little players here and there, but it's quite fragmented. There is an opportunity for one big person to spot the mega trend. And for us, we believe that's kind of portfolio, self-employed, flexible work, and just own that space.
Yeah, I agree 100%. So I see that you launched, please correct me if I'm wrong, that you launched in 2017.
Correct.
So how many years, or was it with the blood, sweat, and tears process of actually getting to the launch date?
Yeah, so that the initial launch was fine. It was the bit after that, right? Because I think it's fair to say that we were a bit early to market with this flexible proposition. Like the investors that we attracted, particularly on the West Coast of America, they totally got it. The candidates, the professional side of our marketplace really got it. But the business side, even the most progressive companies coming into 2019 were like, oh, we don't really like the word flexible. And I was like, oh God, this is not going to work. And then COVID hit. And, whilst it was a really difficult business climate, it was in many ways a total godsend for us, because it accelerated this trend towards flexibility. And now the conversations that we're having with companies is flexible working a good idea? Because that's a dangerous place to be as a company, is educating the market. It's more like, okay, so what kind of flexible professional do you want? Which is a really different conversation to be having. So now I'd say like a lot of the market trends have come together, but those like sort of 2 or 3 years in between the excitement of the launch to now things are like taking off in a really positive way, we're pretty scary for sure.
Okay, yeah, that's understandable completely. I mean, I'm sure that any, especially in the tech realm, is always, oh my goodness, I can only imagine. So with that being said, what is it that Juggle Jobs offers that other similar services, or maybe I don't know if there's companies or platforms are lacking?
Yeah, I think so. The market that we're trying to knock out is the traditional recruitment market, but there are other hiring platforms in the space. They don't at our level, at the senior level, they don't tend to focus on flexibility, portfolio, self-employment. And then you've obviously got the Upworks of the world who focus on sort of gig and short-term employment. we're looking at the bigger picture and the mega trend towards people having these long-term engagements with companies where they're in a relationship for a long time, perhaps like 1, 2, 3, even 3 years, but they're working simultaneously for maybe 2 or 3 different companies. And that's a totally different way of looking at careers. It's gone from being linear, you're an analyst somewhere, to then you have to move somewhere else to be a manager, then a director, then an exec director or whatever. Actually, what we're saying now is you can work simultaneously really hard and pick up all these skills really quickly, and put automation into your role as well, and become better and better and more skilled and more money, and add more value to these companies. I think that's the exciting trend that we have spotted and are working towards, which is incredibly exciting, and can't wait to build that.
Yeah, I'm excited too. I can't wait to follow you guys and see how this becomes the norm. We hear so much the new norm, the new norm, the new norm. This is actually a new norm that I could get behind. Not some of those other
absolutely
new norms. Yeah. So okay, what is the end? I don't want to say end goal, but what is your, when will it be a time when you say, finally, I've done what I've set out to do?
Yeah, that's a great question, because let's face it, it is a bit of a moving target. I think from my first spreadsheet, I'm supposed to be a billionaire on a beach by now. So it's fair to say that my initial forecast was a little bit off. But sort of personal and business wealth is definitely part of it. But it's not the primary driver for me. The thing that gets me up in the morning is this inequality piece on the gender side. So seeing that Juggle really making an impact in that sense. And just to give you a sense of that, over the summer, over like 70% of our senior placements, so the kind of C-suite, they were women. And that was amazing. If we consistently see ourselves placing senior women into these roles, having an impact in these companies at scale, that for me is really like one of the most important mission impact measures that I would take away as a founder and say, I've made a mark, done what I set out to do. At a broader level, I think it would be that this type of work that we're talking about becomes much more the norm within the professional classes, and Juggle Jobs becomes the household brand that you go to hire these types of people. And if you want to work in this way, come to the platform. So yeah, I guess it's the mission number one, the kind of brand recognition and the validation that this market trend is correct. Number two, and sort of the wealth and the beach will come after that.
Yeah,
it's very important. It's a very important number three, though. I'm not going to lie to you.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's a driving force, the original driving force, right?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. So I have one last question, and this caught me off guard when I read it. Me personally, I'm sure a lot of our watchers and people that maybe are not in your field. Can you tell me what a headhunter is?
I know it's a terrible word, isn't it? We do use this like really violent language across everything. War for talent, headhunter. It's crazy. Anyway, so headhunter is typically used to describe the recruitment sector at the senior end of the market. So executive search. So it's where companies would retain an executive search firm, to headhunt, quite literally identify individuals for a senior level position. They would persuade those individuals to interview with them. They would do lots of competency framework assessment, culture-based assessment, and then they would present a shortlist to that company and say, right, these are the 5 people in the country we have assessed across a range of like 500 who we think are right for your role. So companies pay for the judgment of those individuals to quite literally headhunt senior executives for their businesses, because it's quite a risky thing to do. So that's why companies are willing to pay a decent amount of money for it.
Okay, I see. Well, I think that's it for today. And I
Fantastic.
really appreciate you coming in and discussing this with us. We're excited here at Tech Times to follow your company and report on you. And so we'll definitely we'll stay in touch.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a real pleasure.
Absolutely. So, okay, for all the Tech Times watchers, we'll be back in next week with another tech exclusive. See you guys then.